The patriarchy is bad for everybody. Global warming edition. Welcome to today's episode where we will be discussing capitalism, billionaires, and why Mars is not the backup plan that we asked for. Welcome back to Stay at Home Feminist. I am your host, CC Binx, your favorite feminist with a knack for roasting billionaires and dismantling oppressive systems. Eek. Today, we are tackling a hot topic, literally, global warming. So let's get into how the patriarchy is speeding up our planet's expiration date. Because trust me, honey, this will impact all of us. Also, if you watched last week's episode, you know that I have hooded eyes now because I got some Botox that is sitting a little funny. So I don't really want to draw attention to it, but you know, when you're insecure about something, you have to be like, oh my God, guys, I know this is happening. So yeah, I know. I don't know if you know. I don't know if you can see from this angle. We'll see when we'll see when we edit this what it looks like. But anyways, enough about me. A few of the things that we'll be discussing today are how capitalism and the patriarchy are fueling climate change. We'll also be touching on why billionaires are trying to yeet themselves to Mars, but most importantly, on how taking a matriarchal approach will not just save our planet, it will save our sanity. Yeah, in case you didn't know, caring about our planet is feminist AF. Let's get into it. I think the lowest hanging fruit when talking about climate change is that the conversation around climate change is often led by the same people who are profiting off of destroying the planet. So we're kind of just locked into that. We don't have a lot of leg room when the people who are profiting off the planet being destroyed are the ones controlling the conversation, controlling the narrative, controlling the media, controlling the politics, yada, 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 yada. And that's why they come at us being like, you consumers don't use your plastic straws, when it's like, if we just got 3 people to not be carbon footprinting the way they're carbon footprinting, we'd be pretty much okay. Us not using plastic straws is really, really a drop in the freaking bucket. It goes without saying, but I'll say it. Billionaires and corporations want to control the narrative in efforts to dodge accountability. They bankroll solutions to protect their wealth. These solutions could be carbon offsets or greenwash tech, we've seen this. But all the while, they continue to pollute, exploit, and hoard resources. It's like letting an arsonist lead the fire department. It makes no sense that this is the system in which we're working with. And the fact that it's normalized is bonkers to me, because it's it doesn't take the smartest tool in the shed to see the conflict of interest here. And if you've been following along for a few episodes, you understand that this is patriarchy 101. The patriarchy is going after power. It's promoting the idea that you should hoard wealth and not take care of each other. It's a lot more individualistic, where the matriarchy is a lot more community-based. It's not just focusing on the individual. As we've discussed before, think of the patriarchy as a pyramid. You're running to get to the top, where the matriarchy is a spiral circle, all sort of feeding back into each other, which I think is an important frame for this conversation. Because if you're only caring about yourself, of course, you're not going to care about the planet or other people. But when you are focused on what's best for the community, of course, you are going to care about the planet, because the planet's well-being impacts all of us. And matriarchy 101, as it relates to environmentalism, is just caring. It's just caring about the planet. It's just wanting the planet not to get into worse condition, which should not be radical, but for some reason that is. It's not about slapping a solar panel on a yacht. It's about actually valuing sustainability over profits, prioritizing collective care over corporate greed, and treating the earth like your home and not like a disposable Amazon package. The matriarchal approach is about long-term survival and thriving on this planet, and not about short-term stock gains. Because shocker, if we destroy the planet, there is no rebuild button, and there is no billionaire spaceship escape plan for the rest of us. As we know, capitalism is one of the patriarchy's favorite tools. It's all about endless greed, profits over people, and squeezing and exploiting resources until there's nothing left. And we've talked a lot about the way that the patriarchy tries to diminish women. And in one of our first episodes, we talked a lot about how the patriarchy is trying to make women small. The same system of oppression that expects women to do it all and be super moms and take care of everyone else before taking care of themselves, aka the patriarchy, also expects the planet to keep giving and giving and giving. And neither Mother or Earth or women can keep up with these demands. And this is why I love to pull out the Jenga pieces that makes the structure of the patriarchy and its buddies, white supremacy and capitalism. Because when you pull out one block or you pull out one thread, for another analogy, you keep pulling at that thread, or you start taking out little Jenga pieces of the tower, you see the ways in which it uses the same blueprint for so many things. I will say this once and I will say it again. I will say this once, I'll say this forever. The way that the patriarchy treats women, diminishes women, doesn't appreciate women, expects women to just like give life and it's no big deal. We are doing the same thing to the planet. We expect so much and like something's got to give. And I'll tell you, Mother Earth, she's not just going to abide by what's happening. Clearly, we've seen the impacts already. There are currently like climate refugees across the globe in one of the wealthiest neighborhoods in Los Angeles. Like she's doing what she's got to do. And it's only going to get worse. So now is the time to do something. Now is the time to really make some systemic changes to the way that we think about the planet. And as I said in the beginning, yes, our part as individuals is important, but I think the most important thing we can do is put pressure on the powers that be, put pressures on the corporations. Just 100 companies are responsible for 71% of global emissions. Like, think about how bad it was for the planet that Jeff Bezos just wanted to like go for a joyride up into space. And like, we're out here like trying to figure out what's recyclable and what's not. And like, I'm not saying don't recycle. I am just saying, I am saying that like, 100 companies are responsible for 71% of what's bad for the earth. So if we just held those 100 companies responsible, like we'd be good. We'd be set. A SpaceX rocket just like crashed and exploded in the sky and like rained into the earth. Like, that's not good for our planet. I don't care what you say. Like, that is not good for the planet Earth. Like, there's a spaceship in our ocean. And I know there's like other spaceships in our ocean because they just like crash into the ocean on purpose or whatever. But this, whatever. I don't want to talk about NASA. But you know what I'm saying? Like, come on. And these things are so normal. Like, SpaceX just like crashed and everyone was like, well, that's what happens. And it's like, I guess, but why isn't there an adult in the room? There's so many levels of like wrong going on here. I don't even know where to start. Speaking of billionaires, I think one of the reasons so many of these top 100 companies that are exploiting the planet don't care is because the richest of them are making a little escape plan to Mars. It's delusional to think that living on Mars would be better than living on a planet that is made for humans to live on. Like, Elon Musk and his crew are spending billions of dollars to try and colonize Mars. But let's be fucking real. They can't fix Twitter. What makes you think they can fix the whole planet? Like, this is not the man that I want in charge. And more importantly, if Elon's take over Twitter or X tells us anything, like, a lot of us are not going to have a seat on that rocket ship. They are not building that for the community. They are building that for a certain demographic of people. And again, that's one of the biggest problems of climate change is that the climate deniers are in power. So many of the top polluters are the same people that are downplaying or outright denying climate change. They're betting on their short-term profits and leaving it to everyone else to clean up the mess, all while like gaslighting us and figuring out which seat on the spaceship they're going to sit on. Like, it's insane. It's insane. And like, what I can't wrap my mind around, maybe because I'm not like an egocentric, narcissistic billionaire, is why would the wealthiest people be more interested in escaping Earth than saving it? Like, it really, really just seems a lot more simple to me to like not destroy planet Earth than to move to another one that is inhospitable to humans. Like, can someone explain that to me? Because like, that is like the gap in this that I'm just really not getting, other than the fact that like these guys want to be like super evil villains for some reason, like literally Dr. Evil. Why wouldn't you just, instead of spending all that money on colonizing Mars, why wouldn't you just like support clean energy or like not pollute as much on Earth? Like, I'm not a mathematician, I'm not an accountant, but it seems like you're going to be spending a lot more money. And I'm sure this is a spend money to make money situation, because then they colonize Mars and then we have nothing to do. And then we like have to buy a plane ticket onto their spaceship and then whatever, they like own that. And I'm sure like they're just thinking like 100 years down the line because that's how far their greed goes. But yeah, for me, it would just make a lot more sense to like not burn planet Earth personally. But again, all this to say, like, that is textbook patriarchy. Having people prioritize their own survival or their own gains over like collective action and community-based like solutions to protect people. Like, that is what the patriarchy is all about. So can we be that surprised that we're here? And one of the reasons I was so excited to talk about this topic is like, yes, there's so much conversation around climate change. And at the same time, there is still this like notion of like shrug. And it's because it is just so normalized that the patriarchy plays out this way. We see it with so many things, so many aspects. Climate change is just one of the ways that the patriarchy is failing us. So what would a matriarchal approach to climate action look like? Prioritizing care and sustainability. Matriarchal systems emphasize nurturing, sustainability, long-term thinking, basically everything the patriarchy isn't. And most importantly, it's about working with nature and not against it. Another sort of way that the matriarchy would approach our planet or combating climate change is valuing community over competition, community over capitalism. Imagine communities sharing resources, prioritizing local farming, for example, collaborating to reduce waste. That's like matriarchal energy right there. Like, we don't see a lot of that happening in the current systems that we live in. I think the most influential way that a matriarchal approach could address climate change is centering Indigenous knowledge. Indigenous communities have been practicing sustainable living for centuries. Listening to them at this moment in time isn't just, respectful or like woke or whatever the media wants to say. It's essential for survival because the colonizers are colonizing too hard. They're colonizing so hard, they're colonizing Mars. Like, they colonized this planet so hard and disrupted its resources so much, they are colonizing another planet. Like, maybe we should take a time out for listening to the colonizers for like 4 seconds. Maybe, just a thought. The patriarchy disrespects our earth in the same ways that it disrespects women, in the same ways that it disrespects so many. Like, think about the ways that our culture treats Mother Earth and the ways that it treats women. It's not great. It's not great. Both our earth and women, generally speaking, are culturally sort of seen as resources to be used up and discarded. I know that's a harsh way to say it, but so rather than being like nurtured and valued for the life that they provide, they're being exploited or used up or discarded or all of the above. Women create life, earth sustains life, and both are like being treated like, A, it's no big deal and anyone could do it. Not true. B, like, it's endlessly renewable. And we see it happening to women all the time. We see women find their partner, have kids with them just for their male counterpart to leave them and go find like a younger woman or go cheat on them with their secretary or whatever. Like, we see that trope time and time again. And I'm not saying this happens to every woman or every person who gives birth or whatever, but like, come on, that trope is there for a reason. It's because it happens. Like, cheating on your pregnant wife or wife that just gave birth with your nanny, your secretary, your whatever younger woman in your life, like, that happens often, often enough that there's like a trope about it. And the billionaires are literally doing that same thing that they've done over and over again with the women in their lives to Earth and being like, I'm going to go for this hot planet over there, Mars, no pun intended. Yeah, maybe Elon Musk has multiple mothers of his children and like can't keep a stable relationship. Shouldn't be the one deciding like how we should be treating our home, Earth, because it doesn't seem like he does a good job treating his home very well in his personal life. Just saying. The patriarchy sees women and our earth as disposable. And that's wild to me because women have like the portal to create life within them. Like, that is so wild. Our earth keeps us breathing. Our earth gives us like air and nutrients and food and sun and like everything. And the patriarchy is just like, yeah, no biggie. We can do that again over there. Yeah, no biggie. Anyone could do that. I'm like, girl, what? And I think we look at the way that societies have been shaped with cultural norms. I think, again, some of those like besties that support each other so well are like patriarchy, capitalism, white supremacy, colonization. Everything is the way that it is now is because colonization went so hard. This like conquer the earth attitude, exploit the resources, like that is still the norm. And those same vibes are control women, you know, like the same people in charge of like setting those standards are also the people who want to control women as much as possible. Why? Because these people want to extract as much as possible without caring about long-term harm. Like at the end of the day, the patriarchy thrives on domination, whether it's drilling into the planet or devaluing women's contributions. Like again, two sides of the same coin. Our earth is like the ultimate caregiver, feeding, sheltering, protecting us. But instead of showing her gratitude, we are polluting, we're off deforesting the world, like pretending climate change doesn't exist and adding to the climate change. And again, I think this sounds a little familiar. Women also are expected to care endlessly without thanks and support. And then when we like can't handle it anymore, it's like we're gaslit about it. A matriarchal approach to life not only like centers mothers and children because they are the future, it would center treating the earth well because the earth is our home and the earth is the future. Like wanting to trade it in for a newer, younger model, which is Mars, like it doesn't make sense. It's like giving midlife crisis, but everyone in charge of making decisions about our planet is like going through a midlife crisis and wanting to like get a hot Ferrari and date someone like their daughter's age, where it's like, should those be the people making the rules here? I don't want that. I can't be alone in that. I can't be alone in thinking like that's weird and unacceptable. I would just love for there to be a shift in the narrative. Like Mother Earth isn't exploitable. Women aren't exploitable. Mother Earth and women are not here to be exploited. They're here to be protected, celebrated, nurtured. I think one way we can do that in like our own lives and be that sort of like force, even though that's not the cultural norm, is by amplifying voices that prioritize care and sustainability. Whether it's environmental activists or women advocating for better healthcare, childcare, work-life balance, like dismantling that system of oppression that is the patriarchy, that is internalized misogyny, like from within, and then letting it touch like your friends and your family and then like your community, and then like that impact spreads. And I think it gets really overwhelming when we see these villains in charge of our planet who clearly don't care and are lying to us about it. And it's like, well, what are you going to do? And I don't know what to do for them. Like they know what's happening and they're denying it because they prefer to make money over caring about human life. Like that is going to be what it's going to be. But what you can do is make that change in your own life and see the ways it ripples out and think about how powerful we are as people and the ways in which like our actions impact each other, and we change the norms, we change the cultures as much as those who sit at the top would like to think it's them. Like it's not. So if you're listening to this and being like, well, damn, what do I do other than like buy some N95 masks for when my neighborhood light's on fire? Start local. That saying, think global, act local. I really, really believe that's the way forward. And I think with stuff that is as big as this and as deep seated as this, like it does take a lot of partial solutions. And one of the ways to just get that ball rolling is by examining the ways in which the patriarchy is thriving within your life and holding you back, giving you shame, like these things that don't serve you, and making those connections between the ways that it does that to us, our planet, like so much, you know, and we get to change that narrative for ourselves. And once we change that narrative for ourselves, you'll see that impact within your like your immediate network, family, friends, whoever, and then like neighbors and communities. You know, there are so many great community initiatives. There are ways to center your community and take care of each other. And that doesn't need to be dictated by the billionaires or the corrupt politicians and leaders of this world. Like they don't tell you how you get to interact with your neighbors and your family and your loved ones. Like you get to decide that for you. So yeah, empower yourself to be more caring and more compassionate, and you're already light years ahead. So yeah, that's my little kumbaya moment. But let's dive into a little things that are maybe a little bit more tangible of how you can help, because I know that might be helpful and productive while sort of talking about this daunting subject. And if you're like me, sometimes you sit there and you think about like everything going on in the world and it's like, I'm just going to give up. And like, that's not what I want to do. It can feel very daunting when you kind of like peek into the shadows of systems of oppression. RuPaul says all the time, and I love this, is you can look at the darkness, but don't stare at it. And I think that is really important to remember. Like, let's look at it. Let's acknowledge it. Once you can acknowledge that it's there and once you can observe it, you can start to like unlearn these norms and you can start to empower yourself to make choices that are better for you and your loved ones. But just because we want to look at it and acknowledge it doesn't mean we have to stare at it. Doesn't mean we need to live in that place, because you can't combat darkness with darkness. You combat darkness with light. So what are ways that you could be bringing this light into your own life? I know I talk my shit about like the straws, but it is important to be accountable and reduce your personal impact on the planet. Yes, big corporations are the main culprit. Like, they are the ones we should be focusing on. And we can also take action. Composting is a great way to do this, cutting down on waste, and supporting sustainable brands or thrift shopping. Actually, this outfit is thrifted, as a lot of my outfits are on here. The outfit I wore last episode was also thrifted. I don't have a partnership with them, but sponsor me if you guys want to, because I love shopping on ThredUp. It's an online thrift store, essentially. And I really try to only thrift shop. Sometimes you need a really nice pair of jeans or a nice pair of something, and I'm going to go real shopping. Not that thrift shopping isn't real shopping, but like go to a store that isn't a thrift store. But I love shopping on ThredUp. Check it out if you haven't. I recommend it to everybody. Honestly, ThredUp, please sponsor me, because I actually ride for you guys. I ride for you so hard. Most of the outfits I've worn on here have been from ThredUp because it's a really sustainable way. You know, fast fashion is one of the biggest stressors, like the biggest polluters on the environment. And there's so much greenwashing in fast fashion. And I think thrifting is my little way of combating that, because I do like keeping up with the trends and I do like not repeating my outfits too many times. And I'm getting better about that. I used to be the type of person who would wear an outfit once on my birthday and take a picture and never wear it again. And I'm really working on that. And actually, that's when I really got into thrifting, was because I was getting a bunch of outfits for my bachelorette party. And I was like, okay, I know myself. Even if I wear these again, like I don't need 5 white dresses and I'm not going to wear them all the time. Even if I keep them and I wear them like throughout my life, like how many more times am I really going to wear like these 5 different white dresses that I want, or these like 5 different all white outfits that I want for my bachelorette party? So like a year before my bachelorette party, I started sourcing these outfits and ordering them online. And I also did it for like some of my wedding events for my wedding weekend. Like the day that everyone got in, like it wasn't the welcome dinner because I had a welcome dinner the next night, but I had like a pre-welcome dinner basically, and like got drinks with like everyone who was in town and whatever. And like that was thrifted. And all of my bachelorette outfits were essentially thrifted. I'm pretty sure all of them were. Maybe like the bikinis weren't. And that's when I really got into thrifting, because I knew I was going to be wasteful and I felt really guilty about that. If I'm going to be wasteful, what's the least wasteful way to be wasteful? And my answer was ThredUp, girl. My answer was thrift shopping. And yeah, and in some ways it is still wasteful, because like it might end up in the same place of if I bought it from the store itself in a landfill, but it is one less garment being made on my behalf. And I think, again, partial solutions. I'm not going to stop global warming and climate change by thrift shopping all on my own. But again, if everyone took a little bit more care and a little bit more thought, we'd go a long way. So yes, reducing your personal impact, although we should be holding corporations accountable, find ways to reduce your personal impact. Don't feel shame around it if you can't. Everything is made in fucking plastic, so they make it really hard for us, but find something that you can do. I think, again, advocating for systemic change is one of the most powerful ways that you can work to protect your planet and your loved ones. Pushing for policies or politicians who support renewable energy initiatives, stronger emissions regulations, but again, holding corporations accountable. Like, I'm so sick of us acting like they aren't the biggest polluters on the planet. And this one is a little daunting, but at this point in our life, I think we all need to be aware of our reality. And the reality is, one of the best ways to protect your loved ones, with where things currently stand with the climate change and the lack of accountability or lack of change around climate change, is preparing for a climate crisis. No one wants to think they're going to be in a climate crisis. And I hate to be like a doomsday alarmist, but I think everyone should be a little bit prepared. Like maybe have a little bit of a go bag. You don't have to have have like a whole bunker, but climate crises happen all the time in places you don't expect them to happen. Have a little stockpile of essentials. Again, it doesn't have to be like a whole bunker of essentials, but have like a go bag you can grab. Learn maybe some basic survival skills, sort of like micro doomsday prep. You don't have to be like a full day doomsdayer, but like maybe be a micro doomsdayer, because at this point in life, it kind of makes sense to have a little bit of like hedge your bet a little bit. And like if you're wrong and you never use that go bag, amazing. But if you ever do have to use that go bag, you're going to be so fucking happy that you have it. I'm a rather be safe than sorry kind of gal. That's just me personally. I'd love to hear from you guys of small ways or small changes that you've made in your life to reduce your environmental footprint. Like, give us some ideas. What are the other ways we can do this other than thrift shopping? I know that a lot of people have reduced their meat intake, changed the types of milks they drink, things like that. I was vegan for a little bit, so I'm sort of versed in that world, but yeah, I'm curious what your small tips are. And I love tips that are very achievable for most people, no matter your income, no matter your neighborhood that you live in, no matter the country that you live in or whatever, no matter if you have kids or don't. I really like finding those small changes that can really make a big impact. So if you have any of those, let us know. Yeah. So in conclusion, basically do what's best for you and your loved ones. And what I think is best for you and your loved ones is not subscribing to patriarchal beliefs. And that is as true as it is for you loving yourself and being compassionate with yourself as it is with you loving the planet and being compassionate with the planet. Honor yourself, honor the planet, like don't honor the patriarchy. No. And always expect billionaires to be supervillains. Being a billionaire is unethical. That is hoarding wealth. Like $1 billion is so much money. Nobody needs that amount of money. I'm sorry. So don't trust billionaires. They're wealth hoarders. What else are they hoarding or doing just to protect themselves while people suffer? Normally at their hands. Jeff Bezos is flying to space while Amazon employees make like minimum wage. Don't get me started on minimum wage because it is bare minimum wage is what we should be calling it. And oil company CEOs sponsor environmental events while spilling oil into our oceans. So they're all out of touch. If you're a billionaire, you're out of touch and you should not be in charge of what is impacting everybody who can't afford a spaceship, and that is the planet Earth. Okay, before we go, let's recharge our eco-feminist batteries with some affirmations because, girl, fighting climate change under the patriarchy is exhausting. Ready? Take a deep breath and say it with me. I center care and compassion in all my actions. I center care and compassion in all of my actions. I center care and compassion in all of my actions. I reject systems that prioritize profit over people and the planet. I reject systems that prioritize profit over people and the planet. I reject systems that prioritize profit over people and the planet. I am grateful for Mother Earth and all that she provides. I am grateful to Mother Earth and all that she provides. I am grateful to Mother Earth and all that she provides. Well, today we uncovered how the patriarchy is cooking the planet, roasted some billionaires, and explored how once again a matriarchal approach could save us all. You don't know where to start? The number one place to start is with compassion and joy. But if you want to take it a step further, support local farmers, reduce waste, and most importantly, demand that governments and corporations do their part. This is about saving the earth, yes, and about just creating a better world for everyone, because why not? Thank you so much for joining this episode of Stay at Home Feminist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, do all the things, please, please. And I'm excited to see you next week because besties, we will be tackling something the internet loves to debate, the so-called male loneliness epidemic. Is it really that women aren't nice enough to men? Or could it be decades of misogyny, emotional repression, and toxic masculinity have finally caught up with men? Grab your emotional intelligence and meet me back here because we will be unpacking all of it next week. Thanks again for tuning in to Stay at Home Feminist. Until next time, keep dismantling the patriarchy And maybe composting a little bit while you're at it, or thrift shopping, whatever floats your boat. I'll see you next week. Bye. Okay, we did it.